After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May.
So as we see, ex-NBA player Enes Kanter did this video saying he is going to enter the WNBA after seeing the strong support by WNBA players for trans players. And honestly, I understand exactly why he is doing this here, because Enes Kanter is basically saying if these are the guidelines, then why don't they apply to me too? And to be honest, if those guidelines apply for trans people, then Enes Kanter is actually right to ask the question. Right now, I'm not saying he is automatically getting into the WNBA by what he's doing. That's a different conversation. But if you open a door and say this is who is allowed through the door, you can't get mad when somebody else walks up and asks, okay, can I come through too? And I think that's the box the WNBA is going to have to address, because once you start changing the rules, you better be prepared for people to challenge those rules from every direction. You know, the Bible saying 1 Corinthians 14:40, let all things be done decently and in order. And I think that's what we're missing in a lot of these conversations today. Order. You can't just make decisions based on emotions. There has to be rules. There has to be consistency, and there has to be some fairness. So let's continue, because I want to hear exactly what else Enes Kanter has to say here.
I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally.
So before we get into what he just said, please like and subscribe to the channel. I would highly appreciate it. Now, he went on saying that he respects the guidelines and he should be able to do this because it also was supported by the WNBA players, who a lot of them basically welcomed, so look, they supported it, And if they're going to support that, he like, why you don't support me? See, I believe that we're in a place where things are shifting in this world. There's so much freedom and liberal leadership, which is cool. But when you have too much freedom without boundaries, you see things like this, and eventually you create a lack of order. And at some point, somebody has to be able to say, okay, that's enough. Because I don't believe we should be in a place where there should even be an option or thought of men who were born male entertaining this, and playing in women's sports, and I know people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but I'm talking about protecting women. I'm talking about the physical differences. I'm talking about the possibility of women getting hurt, badly injured. And if things go too far, even worse, and look, if I had a daughter and she plays sports and they now allow trans women to play, I would take my daughter out so quick and never, ever let her play again, period. Because as her father, I would have to make the decision that I believe protects my daughter. And that's my responsibility. The Bible said in Proverbs 22:3, the prudent sees danger and take refuge. See, that's something that I believe could potentially put my daughter in danger. I'm not going to sit there and wait until something happens before I respond. I'm not going to protect her and then leave it at that. That's just not what I'm going to do. Let's finish seeing what Enes Kanter had to say.
Consistently and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles. See you at training camp.
So this is no disrespect to the women who support this. My response is actually coming from what I believe is protection of women, basically. I just believe we have gotten so far to trying to prove that everybody should be able to do everything that we have stopped asking whether some things actually make sense. And if God did not create you that way, then I personally don't believe you should be allowed to compete in a women's sport simply because society has decided to redefine the category. I believe God created male and female intentionally. Genesis 1:27 says male and female created he them. And as a Christian man, I'm going to stand on what I believe, whether people agree with me or not. Now, if the WNBA has rules, explain the rules. If there are eligibility requirements, explain them. But don't create a system where nobody knows where the line is and then get mad when somebody like Enes Kanter comes along and tests the line. So hopefully this conversation, gets shut down. The WNBA puts out a clear statement explaining exactly where they stand and everybody can move forward. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to attack anybody. I'm trying to protect women, protect fairness in sports, and stand on what I believe God created. And that's where basically I'm going to leave it. It's your boy, Paul P. Thanks for watching. Deuces.